What's up, everybody? It's Alex from Heavy New York, and on the phone we got Floor Jansen of Nightwish. Thank you so much for your time today. I appreciate it.
Sure thing. Hi.
It's so awesome to have you here. The newest album, Human Nature, is absolutely beautiful. What I was curious is, do you consider this just picking up where you left off after Endless Form's Most Beautiful, since it was, 5 years after, or was this almost kind of like a new start for Nightwish in a way?
I guess for a band, every new album feels like a new start in a sense, but it also really feels like this album could be like the sequel of Endless Forms. So we did pick up where we left at the same time.
Okay. Was there kind of like a preconceived idea with the making of this record, like you wanted to continue that, or was there maybe like a lot of improvising involved with the making of the songs?
um, to be honest, I don't think that we have one songwriter, that's Tuomas, a keyboard player, so he writes everything, and he neither has like a huge plan in mind that it should be this and that and that and that, but it doesn't really it's not like a jam either. So he kind of builds along on a new album and has ideas about what he wants, but usually just lets it flow and constructs the outlines of the album.
One thing I was really curious about that I've always wanted to know, when you came into Nightwish for the first album, were you like looking at the previous catalog being like, okay, this is how I have to sing, this is what the sound of Nightwish is, or did the rest of the band kind of want you to bring a little bit of your own mix to the live presence and to the songwriting?
No, neither. Again, sorry, but I joined halfway world tour, halfway tour in the US, with zero preparation time. So there were no more expectations than please see if we can finish it from the first song to the last. I had 48 hours to learn a 90-minute set list. I was familiar with their work, just not with the album they were touring with at the time, Imaginarium. And my vocal style is different from the ladies before me, so it makes no sense to try and copy them. So from the get-go, I was giving it my own twist, and it helps that I've been around for a while to have a sound of my own. And of course, throughout the time that I've been in the band, that sound became more and more Nightwish, and I try to give each song what it seems to ask for, and that's also cooperation with the band, of course, but that more with the new stuff that we have been working on from scratch. But even the old stuff, it makes no sense for me to sort of try and copy paste somebody else's vocals. And in that sense, I've always been very forward in making it sound Nightwish worthy, but still with my twist.
One thing I was curious about is because you're such a prolific artist, playing with, Nightwish, playing with After Forever, playing with so many different bands. Like, is there kind of like a usual art to singing that applies to every project you're involved with? Or do you almost kind of have to like change the game a little bit depending on who you're playing with?
I would say it kind of colors along with what the music asks for, and of course we've been growing vocally and personally throughout the years. After Forever, it's so many years ago, and I started in that band, so you kind of hear the vocal development throughout the albums. Where I was just 18 years old when the first album came out. I never had a vocal lesson in my life. And even on the second album, I was already studying, but the vocal lessons I had were so bad. I can't really give them any credit for that. After that, I found a really good teacher, though, and I think you can hear that the more things became possible. I've always enjoyed using my voice in a very varied way, and exploring those possibilities is something that I've been doing throughout my entire career. And I would say it's an ongoing process there too. But the more colors on the palette you have, the more you can use in different kind of settings. And that is something that I really enjoy doing.
Do you almost do you think about like music theory and think about like these sort of technical elements when you're singing, or like do you have to use your theoretical background to know what you're doing in a way? I'd imagine
No.
that helps. Oh, really?
Not anymore. I mean, no. When I start something completely new, like I did, for instance, when I formed Revamp, I became curious to see if I could sing more with a raw edge, or even sing completely distorted or growl. And for that, I started studying with a vocal method. I did take a few lessons. Did I? Yes, I did. It's a long time ago too, to see if I was on the right path for it. But I have quite an okay understanding of all the basic techniques, and from there you can really form and color quite a bit. And after a while, it's a tool to get what you want to do. And I don't need to think about it actively anymore. Like, oh, now I need to do technically blah, 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 blah to achieve this and this sound. It goes automatically.
Mm-hmm. Well, I'd imagine, though, also, if you have, like, a theory background, I mean, and correct me if I'm wrong, but, like, if somebody was, like, a real theory dictator, right, like, just enslaved by theory, what the sound of what Nightwish or Revamp or After Forever, like, that almost kind of goes against all the rules anyway, right? Like, I'd imagine a real theory freak would say you can't combine heavy metal and symphonic elements together.
I don't know. Not anymore, I would say. But within the classical world, yeah, in my experience anyway, and that's also maybe outdated. But I met a few more classical trained people, especially around vocals, that said you need to sing only opera, else you cannot do opera 100%, and everything else you're doing is bad for the voice. But I think nowadays more and more people are very open-minded to different kinds of styles, and it's just a matter of if you can or cannot do it. That's more it.
Yeah. Now, of course, it's one thing to sing, but there's also lyricism that you have to incorporate as well. Do you often need music before you could think of lyrical ideas, or do you ever have like a lyrical idea or concept in mind before the music is presented to you?
In Nightwish, everything is written, so I don't need to think about that. Then I need to learn the words, see where the words land in what part of the melody, and then, way more important, learn where it's about and start feeling it so I can transmit the emotions behind it. But when I write myself, I usually I sort of collect ideas for subjects while I'm writing, and when the song is done in form, I see if I have something like a subject I would like the song to be about. Very rarely that I have an idea of a subject in mind before I actually start writing the song.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'd imagine like first off, has it ever been a time? It has to be heartbreaking if you'll ever have like the best lyrics ever, and then they're always like one syllable over or under the arrangement of the song. Has that ever happened?
No, because I write the melody first and then the words to it. Yeah.
Okay, so you're prepared for any of that. I've had so many vocalists say it's like the most heartbreaking thing in the world, where you have like.
Yeah, I can imagine. Yeah.
Yeah. Do you tend to like to leave lyrics open to interpretation, or when you have lyrics done, you try to maybe get the listener to see things from maybe your point of view?
Sure. Yeah. I mean, so lyrics are always subjective. So even in Nightwish, between Thomas and me, there are two different views on it because we're two different people. So he has his message that he wants to hear in the way I sing it, and that has never failed to work in my way of picking up on it. But all the way to the core, I sing it with a different intention than he wrote it because of being different people, and you will read that lyric through different eyes than your neighbor or another Nightwish fan. Everybody, will see it differently, and with that, I need to really have like a very, very deep understanding of what I'm trying to tell, because you need to feel it before anything else. Like recently, last week, I released a song in the Netherlands in Dutch. And it's been picked up worldwide, however, translated in over 36 languages already. But a lot of people listened to it and said, I don't get a word of what you're saying, but I feel it so profoundly. It really touched me, and I can't say why. And I think that's the beauty of music, where words, if well written, can just amplify these emotions so strongly. And I find it one of the bigger challenges of being a vocalist, to really channel these emotions through the words.
Yeah, I'd imagine, because especially with your vocal range, I feel like the majority of your emotions is just expressed through the melody that you're singing anyway, right?
Yeah, in a way, but that's why I said the words really amplify this. And but if it would be completely worthless, it would not have the same power anyway. So it's a bit of both.
Yeah.
But the core, the base of it needs to sit, needs to be understood and transmitted by me. Else, it's just words.
Mm-hmm. Now, you've also collaborated, like done a lot of guest vocals as well, such as collaborating, with Devin Townsend and collaborating with Sabaton and Evergrey and Epica and so many other bands. Do you almost kind of have to like maybe adjust your vocal style depending on the artist you're collaborating with as well, or do they want you to just completely bring your own mix into their sound as a guest vocalist?
It's all depending on what I'm doing. Every project comes with different expectations, but they want to have me, so I'm going to sound like me, and maybe like Devin, he wanted some extreme opera. Well, then that's it, and I sang something really different on Evergrey, even though I did, while we were in the studio, I did jump onto some operatic stuff because it fitted to a song. It was a different song that I was initially recording, so as part of the musical process that just came out, and most people that I work with know about my versatility and would like to use that. But it's whatever they need. Like I did choir work for Sabaton. They wanted an extra strong voice in their choir, and that's it, So no leads, later on in the second album, but first album, it's just me doing the choir stuff. So that's cool, I don't need to have a lead. If you can use my skills for some way, then please do. I love it.
Yeah, and I'd imagine with every project you're involved with, is it almost kind of like expressing a different side of who you are personally as well?
No, not. It rarely goes that deep. I'm really glad that with Nightwish's music, I can relate so strongly to Dormas's words and his subjects and the stuff that we're doing together. It really is something that I really feel really connected to. But I can't say that I have that with every project that I've been doing, and that I really have an intrinsic bond with the lyrics, for instance.
Mm-hmm. That's really strange. There's some great singers out there. Like from what I understand is I heard Elton John doesn't write any of his lyrics. He writes the songs, but he doesn't write any of the lyrics. And I heard in an interview with him that even though he doesn't write it, he still feels a deep connection with it. I've always and maybe you could explain this to me. Just I'm not in a band, so I could just be talking completely out of ignorance right now. But like I've always found it unique how an artist can almost like relate to lyrics and end up singing them and still feel just as connected with it. I've always been curious about that.
Yeah, but I think it must be a combination with music and with what it's actually about. I mean, don't let me sing two cheesy pop songs because I will not really feel any there. But it may be because there isn't any there. I like that song that I released in Dutch now. It's about children in war. And I just, it took me a while to even sing it because it just touched me so profoundly. I was crying all the time, really feeling it, And then after I put myself through that, then I can transmit it. Like now I've made it my own. Now it's something more of me too.
Yeah, you're taking in the art and making it into your own. It's kind of like what fans do when they interpret lyrics differently. I feel like that you kind of take the lyrics and make them your own when you bring your own voice to it.
Yeah, exactly.
I have a couple more questions for you, but when it comes to playing material live, I still have yet to see Nightwish live, and it's killing me. I was hoping to see you in September. But when it comes to playing live, is there maybe a similar energy into playing live as you are with your when you're in the studio or in a vocal booth, or is playing live in front of an audience almost a completely separate art than being in the studio?
I would say so. Yeah, for me it is. I mean, indeed, I end up in a booth. So, I have a square meter around me. My view is a black wall and maybe lyrics and my microphone. I'm standing still. I'm hearing every small little detail of what I'm doing because the entire focus is only on singing. So there is a whole different dynamics, obviously, than standing in front of a crowd when you're moving. It sounds completely different. You're not only singing, but you're also entertaining, you're interacting. It's still used with the voice, but and it might even be the same song, but the outcomes quite differently, and the skill set that you need is a bit different.
Yeah. Do you almost need to kind of like practice a choreography, like when you're rehearsing for a show? Like, is there almost
Never.
kind of like, never?
No.
Really?
Never.
Okay.
Really. We have our pyros in Europe, which makes that we are not supposed to stand in certain places when they go off, so that makes sense. And we always have things that kind of start happening that we repeat when it works, and that goes unplanned. But it's like the end of Ghost Love Score. Empo started coming towards me with his guitar, and I started playing on it. That became something that we've done I don't know how many times. Because it's fun and it works, but that's not something that somebody writes down beforehand. Like, when that part comes, you need to stand there and do this. Never.
Yeah. Well, it's funny because I've talked to a couple of people in music who've like always been like camera shy or stage fright, and like they've almost said that they had to like practice crowd interaction and practice stage presence in a way. That's just not what you're about.
Nope.
Yeah.
Nope.
Okay, and finally, just before we go, I want to thank you so much for your time today. Is there just anything with Nightwish that you would like to promote, or anything else that you're involved with in terms of new music or tours? Obviously, because of a certain virus that shall not be named. But I'd imagine, when all this is said and done, you'll be taking Human Nature out on the road quite a bit, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, all the tours that we have planned are being postponed, not canceled, so that's a good thing. It's just a little bit longer of a wait. That's not cool, but let's get healthy first. I mean, with Nightwish, nothing much is happening, of course, apart from the fact that people at home now have way more time to really listen to the album. So if anything, I would really like to recommend everybody to take an evening and sit down with a good hi-fi set or a good pair of headphones and ride it through from the beginning to the end. Because I think that's a really special experience that you cannot do with all albums. And last week I released a song in Dutch for a project related to an organization called World Child. And this is an organization that's international, so they help people, children who've been in war zones, maybe still hang out in refugee camps or just got out of these horrible situations to deal with their traumas. And it's a beautiful organization, also in the States, I believe. And this song that is now only in Dutch will soon also be released in English. So that's something I can recommend you to look out for. I think it's beautiful, and the whole organization is definitely worth some attention if you can spare a minute. So, yeah.
Awesome. Well, Floor, thank you so much, everybody. Floor Jansen of Nightwish. Be sure to pick up Human Nature if you haven't already. This is Alex from Heavy New York, and we will see you next time.